السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أهلا بكم إلى هذه الحلقة من برنامج من الداخل عبر قناة الميادين. معكم زينب الصفار. لعل الرئيس الروسي فلاديمير بوتين في خطابه السنوي لمجلس الأمة قدم حزمة من التعديلات الدستورية التي سيتم التصويت عليها قريبا في استفتاء وطني عام. من شأن هذه التغييرات أن تحد مدة الرئاسة في المستقبل على فترتين رئاسيتين بدلا من ولايتين متتاليتين، وتشديد شروط الإقامة للمرشحين للرئاسة، وتعزيز دور البرلمان في اختيار المرشحين لرئاسة الوزراء ومجلس الوزراء. هذا يضعف بشكل أساسي موقع الرئيس، ولكنه يمنح القوة إلى البرلمان ومجلس الدولة. تلك التغييرات في أعلى مؤسسات الدولة سببت موجات صدمة فورية في جميع أنحاء موسكو، وأدت إلى استقالة رئيس الوزراء ديمتري ميدفيديف وحكومته. وتزيد هذه التعديلات من التكهنات حول المستقبل السياسي لبوتين، إذ يرى كثيرون من المراقبين أن الرئيس الذي لم يسمي خليفة له يسعى للاحتفاظ بسلطته على البلاد، وترى المعارضة أن بوتين يسعى إلى الحكم للأبد وتنوي تنظيم مظاهرات ضد هذه التعديلات. في قراءة للتحولات السياسية التي تحدث الآن في روسيا وتحليل استقالة الحكومة وبدء العمل على التغييرات الدستورية وما هو دور الأوراسيين وموقعهم اليوم، يطيب لنا أن نستقبل من العاصمة الروسية موسكو البروفيسور ألكسندر دوغين، المؤرخ والمنظر الروسية ومؤسس الحركة الأوراسية عالمياً. Professor Alexander Dugin, Russian theorist, historian, and philosopher, welcome to Min al-Dakhil from the inside, sir.
Thank you very much.
Always welcome. Wa alaikum assalam. Pure pleasure to have you always, sir. Well, Professor Dugin, the political transformations taking place in Russia today, the government resignation and commencement of work on constitutional changes, why are such transformations taking place now? And how do you interpret them?
It is clear that is the transition of power. So we are entering to the post-Putin's period, but I think that it is only maybe first step in that direction. It is not something definitive. There is just some stage. And we could analyze that. First of all, amendments to Constitution are not so important as they could seem. So, for example, there is the new distribution of power, and the main idea is to diminish the presidential power in the future, in the post-Putin period. So Putin tries to organize the balance of powers on the more harmonious way, but limiting, make limits, putting the new limits to all powers. So there is not one, for example, power that gains, but everybody loses in some way. The presidential competence power is limited, diminished for 2 terms only, and having a less influence on the decision of the parliaments or on the Russian Duma about government. We have passed in some way to the parliamentarian republic from presidential one, because now parliament has a power to elect, to appoint government without necessary presidential will. So that is a kind of shift to the parliamentarian republic. But at the same time, president will have the unique possibility to appoint the heads of security and defense ministries. So it is a kind of shift, but not complete. In that sense, very important is as well the limitation of the possibility to have foreign citizenship for all the political figures in Russia. But we could ask, Putin is to 20 years at power. Why only to the end of his term
did he
of
propose
his
such
presidential
Yes.
position? Yes, it's so obvious, and that is so strange that the question could be raised after 20 years of his sovereignist, radicalist sovereignist
This
policy,
is what
politics.
we...
It's a bit.
Sir, this is what we want together to understand. You're talking here about that everyone is losing, each power in Russia is losing, and that the amendments are not that important one way or another. But by proposing these changes, what is President Vladimir Putin aiming at now?
Some experts, they think that there is introduction of the State Council as constitutional instance should play in the future a more important role, because after the end of the last term of Putin, they guess maybe he will be appointed as the chief of the State Council and will still rule Russia from that position. But it is very, very unlikely, I think, because the status of this State Council is not too huge. And constitutional responsibilities of this State Council in future could not be the real some kind of superpower in Russia, including with such strong figure as Putin. So there should be something else. And when we consider these transformations as the end goal, it creates a strange feeling that it's huge sound, huge agitation in Russia in political circles, with very small and very doubtful solution, because Putin diminishes the power of the future political system that is very dangerous in the country like Russia. And he still did not appoint his heir, or did not create something that will assure for him the future position in the post-presidential Russia. So and everybody guess what is all that about, all this mess about, because comparing with the seriousness of this transitional period for all the world, not only for Russia, because Putin's Russia is a completely different thing than Yeltsin's Russia or Gorbachev's Soviet Union. So Putin's Russia, it's a kind of creation of geopolitical independent pole in the multipolar system. And everybody is concerned existentially what will going after. So I guess that it is only first step in order to create new political body, supranational, a kind of Eurasian Union, maybe, in the future. Because now Putin weakens the Russian Federation, but maybe he will propose, and there is, my analysis is shared by many experts here in Russia. He was republished in many on internet and different places, and my guess, I could not affirm for as a truth. So they will follow the declaration of the creation of new state, because there was transition from Gorbachev's Soviet Union toward a strong Yeltsin's Russia, that Russia was strong by constitution in Yeltsin's time in order to weaken Soviet Union, to destroy this post-Soviet space. And Putin followed always completely opposite strategy. So maybe he is ready now, to the end of his presidency, to recreate a kind of union, not Soviet Union, not Tsarist empire, but something like Eurasian unity, and that will be really strong political entity comparing with more or less weakened Russian Federation.
I will come.
Only part of it.
Dr.
And Putin, in that sense, will be the chief of that.
Right. Yes? I will come to ask you about the Eurasian sovereignist position today, but it has long been noted that President Putin is much weaker in domestic politics than in the foreign policy arena, where he has achieved great success in restoring Russia's geopolitical subjectivity and its influence on world processes. So it seems that Vladimir Putin's internal legitimacy is more problematic. Why?
It is difficult to explain, but for example, if these transitions, if this political reform is the end, so that will mean that Putin will be in very awkward position after the end of his legal presidential term. So as well, it is obvious that in foreign politics he's a genius because he has saved Russia as a sovereign power. He has restored or created, with China, with other forces, multipolar world. He has limited the American hegemony. So that is the kind of, he is a geopolitical hero, I would say. But in the inner domestic politics, he is perceived in a different light because he, for example, Medvedev, everybody hated him, absolutely, because he was very weak. He was incompetent. He was liberal, and Putin's a narcissist, and he has betrayed Libya as well when he was the president. Putin criticized him for that. So he was completely incompetent, and having around him the people with liberal ideas, pro-Western, except, for example, the chiefs of security or military ministries that are different, or foreign affairs. Lavrov is as well very sovereignist and very, very strong. But in the domestic politics, his reforms were anti-social in some way. He didn't create the conditions for real industrial and financial economic development. Our economy depends almost totally on, still after 20 years of Putin's rule, on natural resources. And so we didn't restore Russian economy in the full measure. So many people appointed by Putin are totally incompetent in many realms. He has no concern for culture, for education. That is disaster, total disaster in Russia.
Sir, we will talk about the next step. We will talk about the scenarios. We will talk about the reaction of the ordinary Russians to these transformations, but allow us to stop for a short break. إذا فاصل قصير ونعود، لا تذهب بعيدا. Professor Alexander Dougan, welcome back. Now, sir, what are the scenarios for Putin, and to what extent this overhaul, so to say, has spread a wave of tensions in Russia in its entirety, not just the institutions, but also among the ordinary people?
I think that the people is more or less perplexed now, because everybody waited for Putin's speech. It was organized as something incredibly important, crucial for Russian future, and the mission of the government, the change of the government, and the firing Medvedev and the other was good sign. But what followed? this government a little bit less liberal than previous, little less, but the chief, the prime minister, is the man who is very useful to power to get the taxes, but he was very cruel and brutal in order to get them from the population. So to put this person on the as the chief of the government, it is a kind of humiliation for the population. It is an anti-populist move as well. Nobody knew him before except people paying taxes, and the form to get them was very brutal and cruel. So I think that it was something really, nobody is happy with that. Nobody knew this personality. But,
what would be the reaction of the people
more
in this sense?
So I think the people feel a little bit deceived by...
Are they going to take to the streets? Are they going to demonstrate? Are they going to protest?
No. Legitimacy of the Putin, patriotic legitimacy of Putin still is in power. So Putin has a huge amount of the freedom to do everything he wants, to put an unknown, unpopular person, to change the constitution, and everybody will support him. But at the same time, we see still Putin in power, Putin strong because he has saved Russia, because he has reaffirmed our Russia as the subject in the global politics, but he didn't propose the future.
Now, to turn the State Council into the highest political authority, what does that mean and what are the challenges, please, sir?
In order to do that, Putin should restore a kind of ideology, because the only legitimacy for this state council could come from the ideological, strategical vision. But a constitution, including with the improvements and amendments suggested by Putin, could not give to state council such power. It is impossible. It's still a kind of one not necessary institution. Putin maybe thinks that his authority will replace everything, but in that he is totally wrong, because Russia. In Russia, the position of president, of Tsar, of leader, should be reflected in the law. And by the law, the state council is not something really important. In order to make that really important, he should open ideological dimension for his future rule, and that was not made because ideology is still prohibited in our constitution, and change of this article was not proposed by Putin. So I think Putin has solved nothing at all by this reform, and the people feels it. People feel that something will be said after. Maybe the only logical way that Putin or is going down in decline, it's quite possible, or he has prepared something as the next stage.
But sir,
so in
knowing a person
yes?
like Putin, and you know him more than others do you think that he is anyway going down, or he has something being prepared, orchestrated, engineered for the future Russia Putin?
I think that Putin is perfect spy. He is perfect agent. He is perfect KGB man. So nobody, including the closest friends of him, could only guess about what will going on. For example, this change of the of the government, yes, was totally unexpected by Medvedev, by all the ministers, by everybody, all the friends and the people around Putin. That was kept in the total secrecy. So I think the same with all other steps. Maybe he will appoint some figure. Maybe he will make future transformation on political system, and nobody knows that. Nobody close to him, far from him.
Sorry to interrupt you, but in a minute, with the appointment of the new government, can we say that the Eurasian sovereignists have finally secured their full control over the Russian state, and that the demise of the Atlantic integrationist is now a new fact of life?
That is a kind of our analysis, Eurasian analysis. So we consider that Putin could not get really weaker because it is not only about him, it is about Russia, about future, about all of us, about the world. So Putin doesn't belong to himself. He belongs to humanity, to multipolar system, to Russian sovereignty, and that is the real reason that he could not just go out, leaving after himself some undefined situation with weakened political system of Russia. So we need him, absolutely, and we need him strong. We need him with an institution that could reflect in the concrete political reality his mission. So he could not get out before completing the mission, and his mission is Eurasian. It's my personal conviction.
Right,
and
sir.
I have made many predictions 20 years ago and before Putin's arrival to the power, and everything or almost everything is fulfilled now. We could compare my writings and what is going on. So I could.
That's why we were asking you about your vision, sir.
I am sure that something will follow. So it is only preliminary.
Let's wait and see then.
Preliminary part. Yes, and let us as well. Let us imagine future, because we need only possibly wait, sit and wait. Let imagine multiple.
Let's get ready and prepare for the future. Yes, Professor Alexander Dougan.
Absolutely.
Russian theorist, historian, and philosopher. Thank you very much for your enlightening, deep insights, sir.
You're welcome.
والشكر لكم مشاهدينا الكرام على طيب المتابعة، والشكر موصول للزملاء في مكتب الميادين في موسكو. للتفاعل أكثر تابعونا على صفحات السوشيال ميديا من كل فريق عمل برنامج من كل الميادين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.